We can
Okay,
go ahead and get started.
sure.
All right. So, first off, first thing I like to do every single game is just take a look at our team comps. This helps us get a feel of what we're working with on our team, what we need to be thinking about with the enemy team, and then on Ana specifically, we can be thinking about nano targets. Do you play Ana particularly? Do you main Ana?
Pretty much, yeah. I think she's the one with the most hours on.
Hmm.
Uh, I think there's a way for me to career profile,
Yeah.
uh, all modes. I have 120 hours on Ana.
All right. So yeah, on Ana, pressing tab at the very beginning of the game is going to be very helpful for us because we can be thinking about who are the best nano targets we can think of. So we probably want to come up with a priority list, and then what that's going to help us with is it's going to mean that we don't have to be panic nanoing, because we can kind of come up with a list before the fights ever happen in our head of, okay, this is the best person. Maybe if they're dead or they don't have their ultimate or something like that, then we can go to the second best person and third best person, right? So we can have kind of that 1, 2, 3 priority list in our head, and then that is going to help a lot with knowing who to nano and when. So probably if we're coming up, if you were to make a 1, 2, 3 priority list on with your team on the enemy. Oh, sorry, we're red team here. If you were to
Yeah,
make a 1, 2, 3 priority list, what would you go with here?
I would probably go with like Winston, and then Diva, and then probably Farah. Um, the only support I feel like I would prioritize would be Zen. So I kind of like I use my ults for like three
Mm-hmm.
specific things. One, defensively, just to rescue someone in a team fight
Mm-hmm.
when I can't like burst heal them. Number two, if I feel like someone else's ult would be like very helpful, like
Mm-hmm.
I'll ult a Zen if I feel like we
You
just
need
need to.
trends.
Yeah, exactly.
Any
And
good
then
stuff. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then the third reason is like what you said, like to pair up with someone, like like
Mm-hmm.
Genji's like an obvious one. Uh,
Yeah.
so those are the kind of reasons I
S-
usually.
So I semi agree with you here. There are very going to be cases where yeah, nanoing for defensively is going to be a very good option. But typically, I'd probably say the majority of the time that's not going to be the case, and your nanos are going to want to be aggressive, not defensive, because when you use nanos earlier in the fight, they're inherently going to see more value. So the earlier you can use a nano, the more value it's going to get. And that's just with all ultimates in the game because I'll just kind of explain that to you real quick. Is when you use an ultimate, you're more likely to do more damage and get more picks, right? And when you get those picks, you start to win the fight, and that means that the other team will have a disadvantage, and therefore all ults that they use will get less value because they're already losing. So the earlier you can use an ultimate, the more value it's going to get. So rather than using it defensively after the fights, after your team's already at the disadvantage, you're going to want to use it earlier in the fight. So the other thing I would probably say on top of that is that I would put Farah at my number one priority here, because Farah in general, there you can when it comes to nanos, you have kind of two different things that someone can be good with a nano, right? When you're looking at pairs, somebody can either have good primary fire abilities, right? They're just good standard, their abilities pair with it well, or their regular fire pairs with it well, or you can have ultimate combos, right? Ultimate combos would be like Genji Blade. Some of them go pair well with both of them, and Pharah's one of those heroes where whether or not she's primary firing or ulting, Far is a very, very great nano target. So I probably say Far is the number one here, then Monkey, then Diva. And then Junkrat's very inconsistent. Probably never want to go for a Junkrat. Mercy's not gonna find a ton of value unless you're memeing. And I can get you a list here. I have a rough nano list I can give you. If you give me a second here. Um
I think the only like thing that kind of like makes me hesitate,
mhm,
like with the Farah pick,
yep,
is like because I'm at bronze
yep.
and like like I'm trash, and then probably my most of my team could be trash too. Like I wouldn't mind nanoing a Farah if I had like confidence in my Farah. You know what I mean?
And that's why you don't you're not gonna want to nano characters that require a ton of aim. You don't nano a soldier unless he has his ult. You don't nano Ash. You don't nano Widow. You don't nano Junkrat. But Pharah, even like Pharah isn't really a high skill character when it comes to landing shots. And on top of that, if especially if she has her ultimate isn't going to be something where she has to specifically be hitting those, direct shots, right? It's going to get a lot of splash damage, and it's going to also keep her alive in her ultimate longer. Um, so far, most of the time is going to get a lot of value. You'll find, and yeah, Monkey is a fantastic nano target, but I probably just say that Pharah is one of the better ones. Yeah, I'm struggling to find my list right now, so we might have to go over that later. Unless I can find it real quick. Oh, yeah, never mind, I found it. Okay. There we go. Drag and drop. So I put this on Discord if you want to take a look.
Yep.
But this is also slightly old, so Echo is not on here. Whereas Echo is also a very great nano target, especially after she mostly after she uses her ultimate. But this goes over, okay, what characters are good ultimate combos, what characters are good primary combos, and what characters are good with both of them. And then what heroes you probably won't want to nano very often. And those are the red X's one, red X's. So this is just a good general list of them that you can kind of come up with the priorities off of.
Oh, you wouldn't. So you wouldn't nano a Zen or a Lucio?
So that's where I was saying Lucio probably not very often. He has a lot of self survivability. Maybe if he's getting dove and you need the beat, but like I said, often that's not going to be the case. Most of the time, you're gonna want to use nano aggressively. Sorry, I have a sibling crying in the background. Most of the time, you're gonna want to use that beat aggressively, or not the beat aggressively. You're gonna want to use the nano aggressively, and therefore you're not gonna have the opportunity to use it defensively. Right? You want to win the fight fast. You don't want to get to the point where you need it defensively. But there are certain cases where you will need to use it, like on the Zenyatta, for example. But that is a pretty rare case where that's going to happen. Um, like even at high levels where that's a pretty advanced strategy to be going for that, and even at like higher levels, you don't see that too often. All right, so we can go ahead and get started because we did talk about that for a little while.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can let you know what I was like thinking at any given point as well. So yeah.
Mhm.
You're going to be okay.
But you can't hear my calls, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
This will protect us.
Get back! Moving the payload. Falling behind me.
Get back in the fight.
Okay, so
I kept darting back and forth because I just wasn't sure if my Winston was gonna come back to ask for
mhm.
heals.
Okay, yeah. So the biggest thing I'm seeing right now is that you have very good just primary aim. You have good mechanics when it comes to your aim. You seem to be hitting a lot of shots. You're also seeming to understand your scopes very well. You're hitting your unscoped shots, and you know when to unscope, you know when to scope. And then here I think you land asleep as well. Oh, what was that? Um, so you do have very good mechanics here, so we might have to focus on game sense a little more often.
I think like so one thing is that like I noticed this map I just tend to do really well in general. There's other maps where I know I'm like complete like
Mhm.
um what's that map called? It's like the temples and stuff like that. Not Temple of
Temple of
Anubis.
Nepal?
No, yeah, like
Nepal, mhm,
any three of the sections on Nepal, like, and then
mhm,
sometimes I just don't play Anna there. I just play Moira.
uh-huh,
Uh, just because I feel like I can't get any value from Ana. But like on this map,
mhm,
I feel like I usually can do well. And then also we have a Mercy. So like if I didn't have a Mercy, that sleep that I did on Lucio, I probably wouldn't even attempt it. Um,
mhm.
because like if I had an off healer like Zen or like a Brig or something, then I would just probably be sitting even further back, just trying to just heal people.
No,
But
Yeah, typically you're gonna want to go for those sleeps just because that's an easy pick that you can catch out. And even if you have a Zen, a lot of the time you might not always want to sit super far back. We might go over positioning as like as we go further. We've only gotten into like a minute so far.
Nap time.
Very very nice sleeps and general mechanics. So
Valkyrie is ready.
we're hitting sleeps consistently.
Thank you.
Skipping forward a little bit here.
Move back.
Even in the replay, this is a bit laggier. It's very shaky.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too. Yeah.
Only there for a minute.
Casting a spell on
And this is what I told Winston how to get back to me.
Seeing what
Mhm.
You're going to live.
Yeah, at this range, just go for the unscoped shots, right? Gonna be a lot easier on you. But if that becomes an issue, I'll go ahead and talk more in depth on it.
I'm not sure why I stayed scope there, to be honest, but yeah, fair point.
Okay. So here we're just sitting on point. Right now I'm looking at if we have barrage. Yes, we do have barrage. I'd probably be looking to nano barrage here. Just make sure we're keeping an eye on where Afara is at. Okay, we open up with a pick.
moving the payload.
You're going to be okay.
Okay, we get 2 picks. Now we're probably not looking to use our ult anymore.
This will protect
Which is, you know, when we're up picks where we have the advantage in the fight. So far, this is just a roll, not much to go off of.
You have my
I think the
I will
third point here was not as easy. So this is where we'll actually start to get into stuff.
My servants never
The
die.
payload is secure. Move it out.
Rocket barrage
Take your
incoming.
Told them like, hey, like stay dived in. Even when you get out of your ult, I'll ult you and you
Yeah,
just keep fighting.
I remember hearing that. Okay, so we're gonna go over scope versus unscoping because that is the second time I've seen this being a little bit inconsistent. So we're just go over when we're gonna use these. So you do have 3 types of scoping. You have your unscoped shot, you have your hard scope shot or your scope shot, and then you have your quick scope shot. Okay.
Which I never use. Yeah.
Mhm. It's gonna have some applications in different times. You're gonna want to, and I'll tell you when that's gonna be applicable. Your unscoped shots. This is going to be at your closer range target, so within 10 meters on a squishy target. So squishy being anything that's not a tank. 10 meters. So here to there, anything within that is unscoped. Okay. You can move up to 15 meters for tanks, so anything within this range on a tank, because they have bigger hitboxes, is going to be unscoped. Anything past that on a squishy or past this on on anything is going to be scoped in. Now, we're going to go over the disadvantages and advantages of both, so that we can therefore go into why you quick scope. The advantages of your unscoped is that you have very high mobility and you have very high visibility. Okay, when you're scoped in, you lose that mobility, you move a lot slower, and you lose the visibility. Okay, but when you scope in, you get a lower sensitivity, and it also makes your shots instant shots rather than projectiles, which means that projectiles inherently are going to be much harder to land at ranges. So we want the instant shot when we're going at ranges, which is why scoping in is so good at longer range targets. Now, when we want to quick scope, is when we want to keep our visibility and keep our mobility, but we still want to hit a long range target. So particularly, this is going to come in when we are under pressure. So let's say that this person, that's our teammate over there, and they are 1 HP. Yet we have like a Genji on top of us. So we might want to heal our teammate up real quick by just quick scoping them, but we don't want to, make it super easy for the Genji to kill us by hard scoping, which is going to lower our visibility, mobility, and just make it easy for them to headshot us. So we'd quick scope in that scenario because we're trying to keep up those other things, and it also gives us the instant shot from this distance rather than trying to unscope it. Whereas if our teammate is right next to us, right, we just unscope shot them. Okay. And then we can also use our quick scope shot whenever we are coming back from spawn, for example. So let's say we're walking back from spawn and we see that our teammates are low up here. If we stay here and scope in the whole time while we move forward, we're going to be moving very slowly, and they might end up moving into the fight and out of our line of sight. So if we're trying to move forwards while still being semi-accurate at a longer range, you might want to quick scope. But the reason why you don't want to quick scope all the time is because you have a kind of lowered rate of fire. You're going to be shooting more slowly because of the time it takes in between each of these shots. So you just want to understand when each of these three are applicable. And then you want to change based on the situation. Quick scoping is going to be used the least out of all of them, but I was also noticing that we were, unscoping, or we were scoping in at this distance, and we were unscoping when, we were at this distance, right? So just keep in mind that you're going to be able to hit targets a lot easier if we're using the correct scoping method.
Okay.
Traveling to route.
Okay, so coming in on your Ana, skip forward to this point over here.
My servants never die.
So this is the example here on Monkey where he is outside of the 15-meter range. This is where we're probably going to turn into scoping. They don't have much that's actively looking at us, so we're not really under pressure to where this would be quick scoping. So we just want a regular scope here. Okay, so Farah ended up using Barrage. Now Monkey is probably going to be the better target because she doesn't have Barrage. Farah without her Barrage might take priority over maybe Diva, but it's a lot less powerful when she doesn't have her ultimate. So yes, Monkey is the better nano target now that she does not have Barrage. Okay. No reason to back up here. Probably want to stay in line of sight of our team. We're not under pressure. We might even want to be taking space here and possibly moving up to like the top left high ground when we know that they're not pressuring us while we're on point. But the point being is we don't want to be backing up while our team's pushing in, right? Because then Monkey's leaving our line of sight, and that's not good for us. Okay, when we know that we end up getting shot at, right, throwing a nade so we can stay up here. We can stay up longer and possibly even get behind cover.
You're not getting rid of me. That
is approaching its
what's in your
destination.
back?
Okay, good reloads so far.
We need to
I'm liking that. We're reloading in good times, right? Yep. You always reload when you need to. Okay, they're going top right. So right now we need to be rotating main because we're not gonna be able to get to top right. I believe you might be able to if you ran all the way around and you hopped off this fence over there, but that's some parkour and it'd take a long time. Probably the best idea here is going to be just going up main and catching them when your team peaks main, right? We can look to maybe even wrap around and come to high ground or something along those lines. But if we stick main here, or if we take too long here to make a decision, we're going to end up just being unable to see our team when they go in. And good sleep, good nade to follow it up. If you see that he's low, probably don't use the nade because you're going to be able to finish him off anyways, right? So if we're watching his health bar, we see that we can finish it off with a regular shot. We might not need to use the nade, and then that saves us a cooldown, right? We still have that available.
Settle down, old man.
Okay, good. Again, I really like the mechanics your mechanics are doing good. Your aim is your reloads are very good. You're reloading every time you see a lull in time, which is exactly what you want to be doing. So right here, I'm just kind of enforcing what you are doing right. And then so far, we haven't. This has of course been a roll of a map, so we haven't seen much that you're struggling with. But the scoping was one of them. Okay, so
save that for
at this
probably
point in the
not.
fight, we're probably gonna be losing this. Yeah, at this point the fight is lost. Okay, we just lost 3 teammates, and they also got a res off. So if we're doing the math, right, we always want to be watching kill feed. If we're watching kill feed here, right, they get a pick, we get a pick, 1-1, we're even. Okay, they get another pick, we're down 1. Okay, they get another pick, we're down 2. Okay, they're about to get a res in a second here, so we're now down 3.
That's our red.
Oh, that's our res? Oh, sorry, we're red team. Yep, so now you're down 1. That's my bad, I misunderstood that. Now we're down 2, right? So, this is a point in the fight where I'm probably saying this is pretty much lost. We also lost mech and they have close spawn. So we want to be paying attention to kill feed because that will allow us to kind of understand the flow of the fight, and we'll be able to make decisions better off of that. So how kill feed works is you want to be paying attention to it and go, and when you're up 1 to 2 people, right, you get 1 to 2 picks. That is an advantage. You didn't necessarily win the fight yet, but you do want to play much more aggressive. You're winning the fight. Okay, 2 to 3 picks is where you have pretty much won the fight, right? That's where you're at a 6v3, which most of the time the team's not going to be able to pull back from that. That's where you want to stop using ultimates. You want to play super aggressive, look to take space, look to get those finishing kills and staggers. Now this also goes the exact opposite way. In this case, this is what happens is when you're down 1 to 2, that's where you're starting to get iffy. You're losing the fight. You didn't lose yet, though. You can still win. You can still bring it back. That's where you want to be playing a little bit more passive. You're looking to maybe regroup or wait for your players to get back. When you're down 2 to 3, that's where you've pretty much lost the fight, especially if they have close spawn, especially if you're out of Diva Mech. And if they have like more ultimates, they're using more ultimates than you or whatnot, right? That means that we want to be dying as fast as possible here, or getting out if it is possible. In our current situation, we could try running away because nobody's looking at us. We could probably get away with just backing off here. But if the longer we stay here, the more risk we're putting ourselves at of staggering. And staggering is a no go, right? If we stagger, that's wasting time off our time bank, and it's also gonna possibly start a stagger train where now we die late, then our team goes in without us, then they die, and then we are coming in without our team and we die, right? So stagger trains can start when we end up staggering first off. So we never want to stagger. And then also when we're down 2 to 3 people, that's where we want to stop using ultimates, right? So in this situation, we probably want to be either backing out or dying, because the longer we're staying here, which is something we do, we're just going to end up staggering ourselves. We do try to escape, but it's super late. They end up not punishing us. Or do they punish us? Let's see. Okay, so we end up surviving, but we're still poking in and out here, which probably isn't something we want to be doing. See, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. We have 2 people, right? So this is us poking in and out here and staying in this room probably isn't something we want to be doing. Okay,
I don't know why I don't know what he was doing.
bronze awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this might not. So you might get away with this here, but let's say you get to silver or you get to gold. This might be much more punished because the tanks aren't dum dums and they will push into this room and grab you, right? It's just a couple inches, like right. The diva's even coming after you, right? You're in bronze, right? But bronze, just because you can get away with a mistake doesn't mean that it's not a mistake, right? That means that if you were placed in a gold game or a silver game where you want to be going, right? You want to be climbing rank, you might not get away with the same thing, which makes it a mistake. So we don't want to be sitting in this room this whole time because we end up staggering ourselves, which in this case does actually happen, right? Us and Junkrat die before our half of our team gets back from Son, so it did end up happening. We ended up staggering, and then now we wasted a ton of time, didn't get much accomplished, and also are probably going to be coming in super late to the fight. Right, let's see if anybody else staggers. Okay, so we're coming back. Farah staggers, right? So now we're starting the stagger train, right? We staggered initially. Farah ends up staggering too. See if anything else happens, right? So now we're just waiting for Farah to group up. We want to be grouping if possible. We end up getting the res off, so that's good for us.
Oh, this is where we were planning on like taking out the Bastion.
Okay.
And then he failed his hook, so I didn't want to like commit to a fight. I was just waiting to bail out my Roadhog if he needed it.
Yep. Here, try not to shoot at walls, right? That's just kind of a waste of time. Place your first off, don't place your crosshair on him through the wall. What you want to be doing is placing your crosshair at the doorway where he's gonna come out of the door, right? Because you obviously can't shoot him through the wall, so this is a waste of time and energy. Instead, we can either be looking to do something else, like land our abilities, or we can reload, or we can go and try to look for somebody else to heal, like our diva, who is currently half right next to us, right? So that's something we can try to do. Or the other option is we just I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see my crosshair now. We can try to look somewhere around here or here, right? Place our crosshair more towards where we're gonna see him when he comes out of the door, rather than him through the wall, where this is just kind of wasted time, right? Trying to shoot through stuff.
I can't see your cursor if you were
You
trying to.
oh, you can't see my cursor even when I'm tabbed here. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, you can't see it on the stream. Interesting. I don't know why that is, but yeah, around the box, I was saying.
All systems checked out. I'm taking care of you.
Get back inside. Rocket off.
My servants never die.
Decent nade. With your nades, be looking to, though you did get a 1% here, a lot of the time with your nades, you're going to look to try to get them on more people if possible. The more the better, because, you know, that's stopping people from healing. Your nade is the biggest tool in your toolkit. If you can land a 6-man anti-nade, that is most of the time going to be more powerful than your nano boost is, because it has more of an impact
Never
on the
stop
fight.
fighting for what you
So you
believe.
really want to be looking for nades. It stops people from healing. It creates space for your team because you're, you know, not allowing them to heal, which makes them back up a lot of the time. Which will mean that your team's taking less damage. So a lot of the time, you're gonna want to be looking for your nades, actively looking for anti-nades. Probably around like 60% of the time anti-nades, 40% of the time healing nades when people are critical or you're low. Now, the thing I was going to go over here is when we're trying to land it on multiple people, don't look to throw it directly at them. You throw it directly at the diva, which means that what happens is this happens, right? Where we throw it at the person,
Healing enough.
they body block it from hitting the other person. Whereas if we throw it at their feet, along with this being an easier shot, right? Because it's instead of having to hit them directly on the body, which is a very small area, we have a humongous radius around them. Also, like if we throw it at their feet, right underneath them,
Damage
we hit
control.
both of them because of the big radius. So when we're throwing nades, we're gonna try to get it on at the feet in the middle of people, right? So that they're not body blocking, and it's gonna be much easier shot to land than trying to hit them directly with a nade, which might not always work, especially if the target's not a tank, right? So be looking to actively look for aggressive anti-nades and make sure that you're trying to hit the feet in between them.
Sure. Point.
Traveling to route ready 66. For battle.
Nerf this.
I don't know where we were previously here. Before this or after this?
The payload is
Your path.
We're past this?
Or
Okay. Yeah.
Watch it.
We saw that.
Nerf this.
Have you done this
Yeah,
yet?
yeah. We passed this.
Oh yeah, because this is very staggered. Okay, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is probably accurate.
Yeah, right. So this is when Diva boosts at us, right? We toss it straight at Diva. And yeah, that's only hitting one person. But that is still a pretty effective nade, right? We got ourselves and Diva, so that's good.
Justice delivered.
And
Self-destruct sequence. Suiting up, how it's
right now
Still
we're just
behind me.
Get in there.
I think she's still behind me, but
no. She
I
died
don't
to the bomb there.
know.
Look to be look around, make sure you're paying attention to the fight, right? Make sure you're paying attention to kill feed, make sure you're looking around you, because what is the big problem with this nano boost? What's the problem with this nano boost?
Oh, we already won the fight.
Yep, and there's who's he really gonna shoot at here? We're gonna get a lot more value out of this nano boost if we just wait until they start to recontest, and then they're forced, because we're about to cap, they're forced to run into our nano boost. Whereas here, all they can just run away from our nano boost, right? Lucio can hide, Soldier can hide, right? There's nobody really in view, so make sure we're just paying attention to kill feed so that we're holding on to this nano for when it's actually going to get value. Because let's see if this nano gets value, because he's probably going to try to chase after somebody, right? Looking for something to do. He gets not one soldier, right? Yeah, he just hides, right? Nano boost didn't get any value, right? So wait until Reinhardt and Lucio Reinhardt pins out on the card, Lucio comes out, and then now Nano Boost is seeing a lot more value because they're actually running to you instead of away from you.
I've seen it. He's going first. Escorting the payload.
Okay. In this situation, where's the one place that they need to go? The enemy team.
Cart, right?
Cart. Yep. So by us being on cart, we are putting ourselves in the worst place possible because that's the only place the enemy team can go, which makes us a very, very easy target to kill. So instead, what we want to be doing here is if we had the time to, we wanted to rotate to high ground because high ground's always going to be a very good option because look at how much visibility we get. We can see pretty much all of everything. Okay. We also have the ability to drop to our team if we need to. We can also just go like the high ground's great because what you can do is boom, they see us, we back up, boom, they can't see us, right? So high ground's great because all you have to do is just back up and you control whether or not the enemy can see you. So if we have time, we want to rotate to high ground. If we don't have time, what we want to do is just maybe sit somewhere like back here, a little bit further away. I would probably hug cover, so either back up to where we're here or back up to the left so we can use this as cover. But we just want to be backing up away from cart because, as I said before, that's the one place that they need to go, which just makes it super easy for anybody who's staggering out here to just look at us and shoot us, which is what they almost end up doing, right? They almost end up killing us, right? And they end up focusing us here. And if we weren't being pocketed by Mercy, we might have ended up dying.
Round 1 complete.
Right. So again, to re-emphasize main things that we're looking at right now, at least for this game where you are doing very well, your aim isn't a problem, your reloading isn't really a problem, your nano boost needs a tiny bit of work, your abilities need a lot of work, at least your sleeps you're getting off very consistently. Your sleeps are very good. Your nade on the other hand, probably you want to see a lot more. You want to see yourself looking for more value with that, and then overall awareness and game sense, right? Because awareness feeds very heavily into game sense. If we don't know what's going on, we can't make good decisions. You are inherently going to be making bad decisions if you don't have a clue what's happening, right? So if we can up your awareness and get you to know what's going on around you by looking at kill feed, looking at ults, looking at the how much time you have, your health, your abilities, your ult charge, right? You're gonna be inherently able to make better decisions if you just have more awareness.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now on a Symmetra. Okay, so we have a different comp. Let's see, does this change up our priority list at all? Symmetra, pretty like meh target to be nanoing. Maybe if she is full charge, but she also needs to be within range of the enemy. A lot of the time, you're probably going to find more value out of just, nanoing the Reinhardt because he has more health. He's going to be more consistently able to get that value. So here, priority list is probably going to look something like Reinhardt number 1. Probably if he's within range. Bob would also probably be a very decent one here, as long as the Bob's in a decent position, because they don't have anything to stop him. So if you see that they don't have anything to boop him away, really, they don't have any sleeps, they don't have any hacks. If you see that Bob's in a good position, right, he's gonna melt them a lot. Nano the Bob because that will get a lot of value against their composition. Otherwise, Reinhardt is fantastic, and then full charge Zarya would also be probably its second best. So we just want to go over that we want to go over that situational stuff in our head, so that we can just get that off easier in a fight.
Spotted them.
It's just a scratch. You'll be fine.
What? Well, never mind. No, never mind. Sorry, I had a question, then I answered it. Okay, right now I'm looking behind me because I'm hearing Reaper shots, right, and I'm even on 30% of master volume here. Okay, if I up that to 100, it's way more obvious, but the big thing I'm going for here is keep your ears open, right? This is part of awareness. If you never are listening to anything, you're never looking around you, you're never turning your head, right? You're gonna have a ton of struggles with like stuff if this is real life, right? If you're trying to go through work and you're never turning your head, never looking around, never listening, not going to get much done. It's going to be very difficult. You're just staring straight forward. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're doing 360s once in a while. We want to make sure that we're looking around, putting our cameras in the best place possible so we're picking up the most information. We want to make sure that we're looking around at the corners of our screen, not just at our crosshair. And then also, obviously, listening up so that we're hearing this. Our Reinhardt being half HP right now, and the Reaper on our Reinhardt, because otherwise Reinhardt dies here without us helping him out. When I can hear the Reaper shooting at him with my sound at a third of what it usually is. So either you're not listening for it, or your sound is too low, which in that case, I'd probably recommend turning it up. Here, does D.Va fly up at us? Yeah, we do see her fly up to us. Look for the sleep on the D.Va first, right? That's probably foremost thing, because we don't want her to be shooting at us, and we can time for when her defense matrix goes down. Second thing we want to do is not jump off high ground here. We jump forwards, and that's probably not great, because now we're in a bad position. Right, we went from very good positioning up on the high ground to look how many people can very easily see us now. We're in the middle of 1, 2, 3, 4 enemies that can just turn and look at us. And I believe if I remember glancing at your screen, you did end up dying here. Or no, maybe that's a different time.
You're going to be
But
okay.
again, one of those instances where that's a mistake, but you just didn't get punished for it because it was bronze, which is not going to be as lenient. The game's not going to be as lenient with you once you start to rank up, and you want to be playing as if you're at a higher rank, not playing as if you're at bronze, because if you're just going, I'm at bronze, so it works, you're never going to get out of bronze, right? Crouch and shoot him underneath the billboard here, right? Even without crouching, you see you can still shoot him. You can shoot through this, so look to heal your Reinhardt here that way, and then that way you can shoot him faster than trying to run around the billboard. Chuck a nade. Okay, after the fight's done here, we want to be repositioning back on the high ground. Like we discussed, high ground is very, very fantastic positioning. You have a lot of visibility, you have a lot of survivability. So after fights are done, you always want to repositioning back to that good high ground, or back to anywhere that's the best positioning. And then we, instead of being where we're at, you have. That was the question I was about to ask. It almost seems like you have like an aim assist or something, because your aim is very very flicky, or very we end up going like that to where we're locked on the D.Va, and then we go like that.
I've noticed that. No, I don't have an aim assist. I noticed I do that too, and I'm trying to get out of the habit of doing that and just tracking more better, better. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like I click and then I see that I flick away for some reason.
Yep.
I have no idea why I have that habit. Maybe because if I play something like Soldier, or something that requires me to keep a consistent stream going, I'm trying to compensate for enemy movements after the fact, but I tend to shoot and then flick away.
Yeah, which isn't ever going to be really great, because of the fact that when we're looking away, we're essentially making more work for ourselves, to where now we have to readjust even further, right? So probably the best course of action is just to keep it in the same place, and then we can adjust as we see the person move. So that is something that probably would be another thing to work on, because flicking away is never going to be great. Flicking in general does have some uses. You're just not going to want to use it a lot. Now some people do a flicking aim styles, but it's just really flashy and not very practical. But like I said, there are instances where flicking is very useful. For example, there's kind of 3 main purposes. One, when somebody's right up in your face, right? If we're right here, because their body is bigger for us, we need to look up or to the side or wherever, for a faster period of time, right? It's because they're so giant to us, because we're right next to them. So when someone's right next to us, we might need to flick. If there's a very fast moving target, so Genji, Tracer, dive targets, right? we might need to flick because they're moving around fast. Or if somebody just appears on our screen, right? So we're let's say we're shooting at a Reinhardt, but then we see just at the very, very top there's a Sombra. Let's say that's an enemy Reaper about to drop on us, right? We might flick up with a sleep because we just see him appearing on our screen, right? So we need that fast movement, but that's not going to flicking's not as applicable or practical if we can see our target the whole time, right? Reinhardt's just on our screen the whole time. We don't want to shoot at him, look away, shoot at him, look away, right? Because that's just making extra work for ourselves. Or we're just gonna end up missing more shots because of that.
Watching your back.
Right? So yeah, you can see that even on the Reaper here, right? We look at him and then look away.
My
My
ultimate
ultimate
ability
is
is
charging.
ready.
Reaper comes through in a second here.
Watching your back.
Okay. Look away, look around, look back, look back. Okay, good sleep, good nade.
Reality bends to
When you go for nades on your sleeps, go shoot nade, right? And then you can add in another shot if you're able to, but that's gonna more effectively get off combo rather than just nading them, right? Or just shooting them. A lot of the time, if you're trying to burst somebody down, what we can do is go
Never
sleep.
stop fighting for what you
Okay,
believe
you can
in.
wait for people to group up, and then we go shoot, nade, shoot, and then we can add a melee too, right? And then that way we're killing them as fast as possible. The melee is just because you have a damage over time effect, right? The melee is just to add in a little bit of extra burst damage so they die faster, right? So again, shoot, nade, shoot, melee. Shoot, nade, shoot, melee. And that's the combo you're going to want to work on. And there's actually like now this is a little bit more nuanced, but there's actually going to be a specific time on their sleep where they start to wake up. And in that time, they're actually unable to move. And that's kind of the perfect time to wake them up because you can actually get off both shots before they're up and moving around because they're kind of like stunned still. But yeah, you can try to mess around and find that, but I don't want to take too much time since it is more of a nuance kind of thing.
Traveling to route ready.
Yeah, let's get back to where we were. No, I probably should have looked at the time for the time where we were at. That would have been smart.
I think I died. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we got the Reaper. Here, we got a pick. We're using a sim wall. I'm questioning myself, am I using nade or do I not need to use nade? That's what I would be thinking in the scenario.
Go. I'll keep you healed.
my ultimate is ready.
Okay, nade to heal yourself, right? We don't want to ever sit at 70 HP because that's just asking to get one tapped or killed or whatever, right? So here, probably just like shoot nade, shoot the Zarya, right? That gets her up from critical. But you that's exactly what I just showed you on enemies. That's the combo that you want to go for also when you're using it for ally healing because it just chains the best with your with your shots and it kind of cancels into each other. But then you also want to just get yourself in that so you can heal both of you, and then possibly even get the Reaper naded too, right? If you could get it to where it's in between the three of you, right, like right here at the Zarya's feet, then you get you, Zarya, and Reaper all at the same time. Perfect nade, right? That's what you probably want to look for here.
My ally block. If I nade my ally, let's say like I naded the Zarya at like chest level, does that block the splash?
Yes, the
Getting
same
to
thing
Reaper?
as the same. It's both applies to your teammates as well as enemies, right? The same thing that we talked about before. So you don't want to nade directly your teammates either. You want to be hitting the pretty much the floor the majority of the time that you're throwing a nade, unless the floor isn't an option. Okay. If we see that we have nobody else to help follow up on Reaper, like, right, we look around, we look through walls, just Zarya over there on the right, she's distracted, Reinhardt's over there, nobody's near us, right, just run away, okay? He is full HP, we're probably not going to be able to win this duel, or at least it's an unfavorable duel, and you don't want to take duels where you don't have the advantage, right, or at least where you have where you're at a disadvantage, right? You don't want to take this duel if you're more likely to lose it, which in this case, Reaper versus Ana, you don't have sleep anymore. Reaper's full HP, you're full HP, you don't have any help. He is more likely to win this duel, so just run away from it.
Rock it off.
Again,
I
good.
Oh yeah, I think I called it out too. Like
Mhm.
that
Wait.
that you like as soon as I got to sleep, I think I
Mhm,
called it out, but then I got impatient because I don't like no one was coming.
mhm.
But I mean they were in a team fight.
Yep, which
Uh,
is go ahead, sorry, I didn't wanna cut you off.
yeah, no, you're fine. So that's why I just went ahead and naded him and was hoping
Mhm.
that I could like kill him off.
So, thing I would say here, is first off, look around you so you can see where your team's at so that you know whether or not you are gonna get help with it, because sometimes even if you call it, your team wasn't really in a position to where they could get to you guys super easily, and they're also distracted with other people, right? So, even if we do want to take this duel, you want to back up because what Reaper is a close range character, and you as Ana can act as a long range character, right? You have the advantage when it comes to range over Reaper. So what we want to do is instead of walking straight up to him, is we walk over here right towards the Mega. Then we have advantage of Mega, and we're further away, so he does less damage, and we do the same amount of damage. We right before he wakes up, we shoot him, toss a nade. Here we just toss a nade, like I said. You want to be comboing that shot in as well, right? So we just toss nade instead of shooting him. Um, and we're also standing, an inch from him, so we approach. Even if we are taking this duel, we approach it slightly off, right?
Knock it off.
And then we choose to run away late, and that means we just die because of it, right? So look to be running away earlier, and then if our team comes and helps out, then that's great, right? We can still we can shoot them even if we're not standing an inch from them. Okay, we get rezzed. I think we still won this team fight. The Reaper came in and ulted for no reason. Um,
I'm feeling young again.
next fight we're probably looking to nano our Reinhardt when he goes in, or our Bob if we land the good Bob. Right now, we probably want to be repositioning up on the high ground instead of taking pot shots at Lucio because we already have our ultimate. We're not going to get a ton out of shooting at him. Instead, what we could be doing with this time is just coming back up to high ground here, and then we're in much better positioning just to start off than down on the ground.
أنا هاخد بالي منك.
Don't nerf this.
Okay,
I've seen
good
it. You're going to
bomb dodging there.
Taking care of you.
Okay, you're even still.
Helden sterben nicht.
I'm trading for some reason.
60 seconds
Hmm?
remaining.
Smoke them out of there. Time to raise my APS.
take your medicine. You're powered up. Get in there.
Just trying to find the Pharah here. I don't know why I couldn't find her.
You're covered.
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, so right, look at the flicking that we're doing. We
You're covered.
flick up when we see Ash go up, which is fine, right? This is a case where we see her appear at the very corner of our screen, so we're flicking up towards her,
30
right? So this
seconds
is fine.
remaining.
But here, look at this flicking, right? We flick to her and then we take our crosshair and go all the way over to here, right? And then it just makes it super hard to readjust. And then we look down and then we look up, right? We're flicking on a target that we do have right in our face, right? So these aren't flicks that we want to be making, because of the fact that he's right now in front of us. So now we're swapping to kind of our tracking aim style. Okay. Something else to keep in mind here is that this is I'm retracting what I had said before here because I am the one who said it. But
One second.
oh, good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. So I am retracting what I said here previously, but I just took a look at their comp a little bit better here. Reinhardt probably isn't the best nano target anymore because of the fact that they are running a very much a dive slash spam. Or probably spam. I'd probably say is most of what their comp is here. They're not really going to be grouped up much, and we've seen that because they've all been spread out, right? Hanzo's not going to be standing right next to the Sigma. Really, the only one we can nano Reinhardt onto would be like if he ran onto the Sigma, and they also have a Lucio boost speed to like run away from Reinhardt. So because they're all spread out, you're probably going to see far much more value out of nanoing Bob or nanoing Zarya because they have much longer reaches of effect than your Reinhardt does, who is a close range character. So we saw when we nano Reinhardt, I think if anything, he got 1 kill max, whereas just Bob, for example, here just got 2 kills even without nano boost. 3 kills, right? So you can see already just how effective Bob is there. Look to be repositioning, nade yourself so you're not sitting at 100 HP, or you can even just Mercy's on top of you right now with her beam. Request healing, right here. I'm assuming because of the fact that you're not doing either or that you're not paying attention to your health bar, which is something you don't really want to be doing.
Expect nothing less.
My healing spell is upon you.
Okay, we run really far forward here. Don't run forwards. No reason to. Stay where you're at. Get behind cover here. So this is something that we go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, he was just standing still. And it's like he
Mhm.
didn't even see me, so I felt
Yep.
like that was a perfect opportunity to punish him. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Yep, what I'm saying is that you can do that, but Ana doesn't have
Yeah.
fall off, so you can do it the same thing without having to run forwards, right? And then that means that you're less likely to die here because they catch you out of position. Now, hasn't really been something that we needed to talk about much because I'm finding that in bronze here, people aren't very good at aiming, so you're not really getting punished for being out of position, but we'll go over positioning anyways because that is pretty poor positioning if we were talking about any other rank. So positioning here on Ana, or any character, right? We're going over general positioning right now. This will apply to any character in the game, and every FPS game out there. If we are standing right here, okay, this is an enemy team shooting at us, a widow shooting at us, anything shooting at us. If we're trying to get away from them, it takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds before we're behind cover, and in that time it took us to run here, we are dead, okay? Because we were out in the open. So bad positioning is the absence of cover. There's no cover there, therefore it is bad. Good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas now we are in a good position because if we start getting shot at, they start using ultimates, it takes us half a second to duck behind a wall here. So this is much better positioning than being up there, because here we have the option for cover, which is going to be much, much better, and we're going to have a lot more survivability if we're standing next to cover. Now cover has a lot of different, types. You can use something like a slope here, where they can see us, now they can't see us. Pillar, okay, they can see us, now they can't see us. We can duck in and out of it while in between shots, since we do have a delay. We can wait on abilities while we're behind cover. We can use it to reload while we're behind cover. If we're low, we can duck behind cover. Right, if we're over here, and we can use corners. Okay. Objects, right? Any objects that you see, you can use the payload like this as cover. Pillar, corner, okay. Doorway, corner. And the other thing to think about is, or we're going to go over Ana's 3 specific positioning tips, right? Because Ana does have specific positioning. That was general positioning that applies to everyone. Now this is just Ana specifically. And you have 3 check marks that you're going to try to check off, right? 3 boxes you're going to try to check off. First off, can you see your team? You do very good with that. You constantly are able to see where your team's at. But this second one is going to be the one where I want to see a little bit more work on is can the enemy team see us? A lot of the time, we do not want them to be able to see us, especially if we're in the middle of healing our team, okay? If we are shooting our teammates, right? If we're right here and the enemy team can see us and we're healing our team.
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. So if we're standing right here and we're healing our team, right, we are not looking at the enemy team at all. We are inviting unnecessary damage, and for them to kill us, for them to use, for us to get sniped, for them to do damage to us, right? And even just that damage isn't good, because then that might bait out our, that draws away attention from our other support to us. That means that we might have to nade ourselves. So we're just taking a ton of unnecessary damage and also putting ourselves in danger, when what we could do is, if we're just healing here, we go boom. Now enemies are out of line of sight, and we can heal our teammates from here all the same, right? We have the same line of sight on our team. We can see everyone on our team here, except for now the enemy team can't see us. So we want to be putting ourselves out, like, behind cover whenever we're healing, And whenever we're looking for nades and sleeps, we can duck out from behind cover.
I have
If
your back.
our team's full HP and we're looking for some, just some damage on the enemy team, then we can duck in from behind cover, right? But for the most part, you want to be sticking next to cover and behind cover if you're healing.
Okay.
Now, third box we're trying to check off is, can we land nades and sleeps effectively? Big, there's one is the nades there. Now back to this positioning. Let's say our team's here, enemy team's right here. Okay? If we're trying to throw nade from here or here, we have to get through, we're trying to get through our entire team and their entire team and their shields and their tanks in the front, right? So throwing it from here isn't going to be great because it's going to be very difficult. They can see it coming, they can dodge it, they can shield it and eat it, whatnot. So it's going to be very difficult to land the big fat nade from here. Whereas the big thing we can do as Ana to make it easier to land nades is go for off angles. So a perfect example of this is something like this, where this is an off angle where we just run around here, right? Takes a couple seconds. It's very safe. We get back to our team very easily, and now we're good. Okay, something else, right? Back to this example where team's standing there, enemy team's over there. Okay, this is perfect positioning here. We can see our team, enemy team can't see us. If we see our whole team's full HP and they're not about to die, no one's critical, the fight hasn't started outright yet, then we can take 1, 2, 3, bot ran the way, 3 seconds up here, and now we can chuck in a nade. That's a big fat team-wide anti-nade because they're all stacked there.
Yeah.
Okay, that means that they can't get healing. Our team can push in. We're not away from our team for a long period of time. This is very safe because it's high ground, right? We can drop to them if we need to. We can see our team from here, right? We can land the sleep here if we need to. This is really good positioning, and we can get off nades easily from there. Now, what you don't want to do is go for flanks. There's a big difference between a flank and an off angle, being that a flank is if we did this. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Okay, takes 2 times longer, and it also means that in this positioning, we are most likely going to die because they're going to turn around and shoot at us. Whereas when we're up on the high ground, we're safe. Here, we're unsafe. We're probably going to die, and we wasted a lot of time, which means that our team probably either is losing the fight or has, lost members, taken a lot of damage. So flanks, most of the time, you're not going to want to go on. It's too risky. You're not going to get a lot of value out of it. So on Ana, you're not going to look for them a lot. Instead, look for those off angles, which are short, fast, and safe. All right, so we can go for a few more minutes here. I know we did start very, very late.
Traveling to route ready for battle.
Again, I did not look at where we ended. That's something I need to do more often here. We're ahead of this.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, we're right here. Yep, I killed him.
What's your fire at will.
Right, so in that positioning, sorry I didn't mention this, but in that positioning where we're like right where this Reinhardt's at right now, look how far away we are from cover, right? The nearest cover is like we maybe have to run around this corner, or we have to run over to this side of the cover, right? And if we're on this side, that means that they can push forwards, and then where are we going to go from there, right? So it's out in the open. We also push forward up here, which means that it's further away we have to run further backwards. So instead, just peek around this corner, shoot, back up, right? Now this is much better positioning because it takes much less time to get to good cover and behind cover.
Get back in the fight.
Did someone call for a bit?
This will help.
Good nade. We got 2 people with that. That's the type of nades you want to be looking for.
Fire. Keep out of my way.
No reason to back up there. Right.
I have your back.
Not big use out of that. Hey, good game. So, I guess we have pretty much used up a lot of time here. Do you have any questions on anything that we've gone over?
Like I said, I was hoping it'd be a worse match.
Yeah.
But I think I think I got lucky as well in the sense that so sometimes I'll start communicating and just no one listens, right? Either they're not on comms or they're they're like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like I'll say, hey,
Yep.
if you can back out, back out. Like I'll say that like just to avoid
Mhm.
the stagger. But they won't back out. So I guess like what do I do in the situations where like yeah they're trying to win but they're just not listening? I guess.
Yep. So, work on yourself, right? So your team, you're gonna be unable to fully control your team. Yes, communication is always going to be very great, but especially at bronze, where you're not going to find a ton of people in team chat, and not a lot of them want to listen. Like you said, there's not a lot of communication in bronze. Work on your own gameplay. You can get out of bronze almost solely on just understanding your kit and how it works and how to use it. Um, and then once you start getting up to like gold ranges, that's when communication starts to be really impactful, and you'll start to see a lot more value out of it. But at the moment, I wouldn't worry too much about people ignoring you because it's gonna happen. Just say it anyways, right? Get into the habit of saying it because that will be more helpful as you climb up the ranks. But don't have the expectation that people are gonna listen to you because that will get very dangerous, and you'll start to get to tilt because of it. Because now you think people aren't listening to you, and that makes you angry, right? So don't have expectations that it's gonna happen when it's not gonna happen. Um, at the better mindset would be to be pleasantly surprised if they do listen to you, right? As you were pleasantly surprised here when your team was actually communicating with you. That should be the better mindset of like say it anyways, but don't expect it to happen. And instead focus on you and your gameplay. Because a lot of the time, if you're playing it correctly, right? If you put like, I don't know if you know any like streamers or YouTuber names, ML7.
Pretty much the only one I watch.
Yep, yep. If you watch ML7, he might not. He was probably going to call it out, but he is capable on his own of of sleeping somebody, taking the duel on his own. Right? He's very self sufficient to where if you put him in bronze and nobody listened to him at all, right? He'd still be able to absolutely carry the game and win probably 100% of the games or 99% of the games, right? So communicate you people not listening to your communication isn't going to be as big of a factor as you think it is, as long as you're improving the other aspects of your gameplay. Right? Anything else? Or that makes sense? Does that answer your question?
I guess it's just me putting a lot of what you said into practice.
Mm,
Uh, but yeah, I can't think of anything at the moment. I guess I also just need to figure out a way to practice out my weird flickaways. I honestly
mm,
don't know why I do that, but I did notice like even before I talked like before you pointed out, I
yeah.
noticed like I did that. I don't know why I do that.
Mhm. So the biggest way to fix bad habits and mistakes and the things we've talked about and that flicking thing is to concentrate on them as we play. If we go along our games and we autopilot, we're never going to improve at all. Only through concentrating on, for example, we go into our game and we focus on maybe one, two, or three things that we've talked about, right? Don't try to do everything at once. Focus on just the flicking thing and maybe landing our nades better, right? And we just say, okay, we're working on that this game. That's what we're putting our brain power into, and then that way, every time that you like over flick, you're remembering, oh, I shouldn't have done that, right? That was a mistake, right? So we're actively trying to correct it as we go along. And if you put your brain power into it, you'll see that it becomes a lot easier to correct. And then once that becomes a habit to where now, okay, you've broken that bad habit. It's now you now have the good habit of aiming at them consistently, right? You're tracking them. Once you build that good habit and you've broken the bad habit, then now you don't really need to think about it as much, and you'll be able to move on to other things. So try to focus on a few things at a time. Kind of go over them as you play. Don't autopilot because when you autopilot, that's how people stay in bronze for very long periods of time. I know people who um, or I've coached someone who is gold border 4 stars, who just had the worst bad habits that he would just continue to do over and over and over again. Even as I was in the process of showing him how not to do it, he would still be doing it because it's just such bad habits, right? And you can break that by concentrating on them and making sure you're not doing it.
That makes sense because like a lot of the people I
Mm,
play with, they're either gold or plat or higher,
mm,
and they all say the same thing. They're like mechanically you should be in gold or higher, but like I was like, sure, that's great, but like Overwatch MMR says differently, right? So
Mhm.
I guess cleaning up the positioning awareness and some of those mechanical um, quirks is will help me properly climb out.
Yep. Exactly right. Understanding your kid a little bit better is gonna do a lot of good for you. All right. So I'm gonna end the stream.